advice when it's being given without any context is actually very, very dangerous.
Fake it till you make it. I think the problem is on the word fake. Because fake means what? Means that you are pretending, trying to be someone else that you're not. That's when you are really faking it.
Hustling harder is not the only solution to success. It's the primary thing that you need to do, and that is a non-negotiable. If you continue to work hard on something that is in the wrong direction, you are probably going to bang wall as well.
The next advice is this: follow your passion.
What if your passion doesn't make you money for years?
Hi everyone, before we kick things off, just want to share with you that we are on a mission to reach out to more people so that they are able to turn their mess into message. And we can't do this without your help. So which is why, right, it will mean a lot to us if you can actually help us to like, subscribe, and even share this episode to people who can benefit from this. And this means a lot and it can help us to create more meaningful episodes like this. So thank you in advance, and I'll see you in the episode. Hi everybody, welcome to the Influence Show where influence meets breakthrough. So how many guys here, right, you are glued to social media and then you're often captivated by all of this really smart advices that actually comes from different influencers and all these things. And how many guys here sometimes find yourself in a juncture where it's so confusing, you feel that one advice contradicts with another advice as well. And as a result of that, right, you start to feel lost, and then you follow certain advice, and then it doesn't work, and then you backtrack, you follow another people's advice, right? So which is why, right, me and Shui, together, we are actually speakers, we are coaches. We are technically in this industry of advice. Like, you know, people always look for us for advice, and we have to be really careful about this, right? Because one bad advice, right, could actually bring a person to nowhere and really waste their time. Right? So which is why today in this segment, I also have my partner Shui, right? Together, we are going to talk about what are some of the advices that sound smart, but actually doesn't work, right? So welcome to the show, Shui.
Yes, let's dive right in.
Let's dive right in, okay? So you see, right, today we actually sums up some of these advices into 5 advice, right? So one of the things I also want to talk about advices first. You know, in social media, right now we are seeing a lot of different advices. And also people tend to, you know, use a lot of advices. They try to simplify things for people, right? Because when things are simplified, it's so easy to follow. Then people tend to want to look for shortcuts like this. That's why we have a lot of all these advices. And sometimes when it comes to coaching, some people actually came to us, but I heard about this saying of so and so and so. Okay? So let's dive right in, right? So the first advice that we often hear from the internet or often hear from some people out there is this: just be confident. Just be confident, Shui. So what do you think about this advice?
I think that this is a really, really bad advice.
Why? Why bad? Confident, man. Quite good, right?
Okay, so why does this advice sounds good at the very first place? Is because number one, it is a very simple advice. It is a very empowering advice, and you feel that this is a very actionable advice. But then when you receive advice like this, right, you will think to yourself, what can I do with that advice, right? So I want to talk about advice a bit, because advice when it's being given without any context is actually very, very dangerous. Right? So just be confident. Then the next question is that how do you actually become confident? So it's a very, very abstract advice. And then for me, I think that confidence is not just about being confident, right? It's about knowing how to actually become confident. So I think that what you need is you need to have very specific skill set for you to actually be confident. It's not like suddenly you want to switch on confidence, then you can switch on confident. Right? So same goes to like public speaking as well. Right? So it's not like before you go on stage, if I just tell you, just be confident, then at the back of your head, you'll be thinking how to actually become confident. Right? Because at the end of the day, why don't people become confident is because there is an underlying fear behind that. So your role is to first identify what is the root cause of that fear, and then eventually once you know the root cause of that fear, how do you get rid of that fear? So that is the next action step that follows through. And only then confidence actually follows.
That's true. right? So you need to remove that block first, right?
Yes.
Another thing also, why just be confident is an incomplete advice, right? Is that, again, like you say, how to be confident, right? So one of the things I always believe is this, where does confidence come from? Confidence actually comes from evidence, right? For example, you saw yourself speaking on the stage and then confidently, right? So now you have the evidence that I can actually speak on stage. You once cook a meal, then you have the evidence that oh, I can actually cook a meal. So you see, right, having confidence, just be confident and all these things, right? So the how, one of the how, right, is that you need to start collecting evidence. Right? So for example, some of the small wins that you have, you've spoken on the stage, you had this conversation with these random strangers, you just cook a dish to your loved ones. So all this evidence, if you're able to collect that, that's when it becomes a series of evidence for your confidence.
Okay, so evidence is actually really, really important because it builds you up to become your identity of being a confident person, right? So you see, when it comes to giving advice, what is a good advice or what is a bad advice, right? So a bad advice is where you give something generic without any context, just be confident, and you don't know how to actually be confident. But then what if I tell you this, that for you to be confident, it comes from two things. So the first one is by changing the way you move your body, which is basically your physiology. So instead of asking you to just be confident, I could tell you this, that I want you to stand in a way where you feel confident. Breathe the way where you breathe confidently, right? And then I want you to step into that moment as if you see yourself being confident. So you notice what I'm doing here is that I'm changing your physiology for you to feel confident rather than just asking you directly, just be confident. It's a very, very different kind of advice.
That's really good.
Right? Yeah. And then the second one is that to change the narrative that you have inside your head. Because chances are, when you are not being confident, you are telling yourself certain stories. Before I go out on stage to speak, what if the audience judge me? What if they think that whatever I have to share is actually not very true, right? What if the audience doesn't like me? So instead of asking you to just be confident, what if I'm able to ask you, what is the story that you are actually telling yourself right now? And how can you turn this story into an empowering story? So you see, questions like that will trigger you to think more specifically and for you to become more confident without me asking you to just be confident.
I love it, right? Wow. So it's right. If let's say just be confident is not really a good advice, right? If you were giving this advice, right, what is the advice that you would give to people in one line?
I wouldn't say it's one line, but then I probably would say that because all advice needs to be given under the right context. So that's why I would probably ask a few questions to understand, number one, where does the lack of confidence comes from? And number two, what have the person tried to be confident, but it is actually not working? So, and then I will give advice based on two things. The first one is your mindset. So what are you actually thinking, right? What are the fear that is holding you back? So the mindset part is something that needs to be shifted. So once you shift your mindset, the second thing is you need to have skill set or what I call strategy. Because having the mindset, but then without skill set doesn't give you confidence. But then if you know that I have the skill and I have all these tools in my arsenal for me to be confident, then eventually I will actually become more confident.
I love it. See, even now, we don't simply give advices, right? Really need to dive deep and to know the context first. Okay? So I think that's for the first advice that we have covered. Just be confident. Again, it's really important to know the context so that you can really help that person, right? Now, the second advice, let's go into it, right? This second advice is this. Fake it till you make it. So, what do you think about this advice?
I think that I probably wouldn't advise this to my student, to fake it until you make it. And I think that this is a very, very bad advice because what we always share with people whenever they go on stage is to be authentic. And being authentic, it means to be who you truly are. So if you are faking it, right, then chances are we are all emotional creatures and we are able to feel whether this is your true identity or whatever you said, whether it's aligned to you or not, right? So when it comes to faking it until you make it, I think that people are able to actually feel it. Yes, you can fake it once, you can fake it twice. But what about the long term? Right? So what impression would you leave to people in the longer run? Because if you don't have any substance and you actually fake it, chances are people will eventually discover it sooner or later.
Right.
Yeah.
So I also think that I think the problem is on the word fake. Yeah, because fake means what? Means that you are pretending, trying to be someone else that you're not. That's when you are really faking it. So I feel that maybe this advice was actually given with the right intention, but maybe the wrong wording. Yeah. So I feel that maybe another better advice that I believe in, right, is that instead of waiting for you to become that someone, a successful person, why not start being that successful person right now? And to start having that identity. So again, it comes to the be, do, have paradox, right? So meaning that, what is be, do, have? Yeah, so meaning that a lot of people think that, okay, in order for me to become a leader, I need to wait until I have the leadership title. I need to wait until I'm promoted. Then only I start behaving like a leader. But what a better approach is, you start, even though you're not being promoted, you start to take initiative. You become first. Then you start to do the action that makes you become a leader. Then eventually you will have that promotion as a leader. So I feel that this is a better advice rather than fake it till you make it. Because what I imagine, right, imagine you want to become a leader and you fake it till you make it, is like you are trying to become someone you're not. You're trying to mimic what others leaders are doing, which may be completely opposite to your style. You may be trying to become someone that you're not, and as a result of that, you're very burnt out because it's just not you. You have to put a mask to show up every single day. Yeah.
So let me just give you a scenario over here whereby, because when we give this advice, fake it until you make it, right? So let's just imagine that you were giving a talk to a group of C-suites, right? You were giving a talk to a group of top leadership team, and then you never coached leadership teams before, or let's say if you've never spoken in front of leadership teams before, and then people will give you this advice, like fake it until you make it, right? So how would you actually approach this, or what would be a more optimal way for you to actually approach this?
All right. So let's say if you are training a group of people that you don't have prior experience, right? Fake it till you make it is like you pretend that you have the experience. You try to make people feel that, oh, you have the credibility, right? So what would be a better way to be a more authentic speaker is that maybe why not just open up? Right? It's like, okay, guys, thank you so much for coming in today's training. And you guys are the expert in your field. To be honest, I'm not the expert in your field. You guys are the expert in your own field. But what I'm here for today is that I want to explore together with you, how can we take your expert and combine with communication skills? Would that be okay with you guys? So normally when I start my training, sometimes with finance teams, sometimes with the HR team. I'm not an expert in finance or HR, and they respect me for being upfront with them, right? And that removes the resistance away, rather than you trying to fake it. So I noticed that the moment when you start to fake things, right, people can spot it, and they tend to challenge you even more because they want to prove you wrong.
And I want to add on to that is that, so instead of faking it until you making it, so a better approach that I will always use is to ask permission to be who I really is. Right? So what this means is when I ask for permission to be who I really am, so this means that, see, every time whenever I give talks to people who are much more experienced or who have higher position than me, so I would normally show them what I've done in the past and I would ask them permission. So based on what I have shared with you, is it okay that at least for these 2 hours, I have the permission to share with you a little bit about my knowledge and we can exchange what we know so that we all learn from each other inside this session? Would that be okay for you? So you see, when you don't fake it, but what you do is that you humble yourself to ask for permission, and when people say yes, then eventually you get all the permission to share, and the best part is you don't even need to fake what you don't do.
That's right. So take this advice very carefully, right? When you're faking, it will take you a lot of energy. It's so hard to become someone else. The best version is to become you yourself. But the catch is, be the best versions of yourself.
Authenticity is key.
Authenticity is the key, right? So that's for the second advice. Now let's go to the third advice. I think that we are debunking all this advice. Maybe we'll be hit by the internet, saying their advice are wrong. Okay, so the third advice is this: hustle harder. Shui, what do you think about this?
I think this will offend a lot of hustlers out there who is working really, really hard, right? Okay, so before I give this my thought, I think that working hard is extremely, extremely important. And in fact, I feel that working hard is the number one key that you need to master first before anything else. And that is like a non-negotiable, right? But I also feel that hustling harder is not the only solution to success, right? But that is the primary thing that you need to do, and that is a non-negotiable, okay? So as you work hard, if you continue to work hard on something that is in the wrong direction, you are probably going to bang wall as well, right? So for me, it's not just about working hard, it's also about working smart, and you got to have this thing called leverage as well. Because one thing that I always believe in is that if hard work is the only thing that leads to success, then all the hardest working person that you know, people who work 24 hours, they would have already made millions or even billions out from it. But then why is it that people don't actually make more money out from that? Is because yes, you are working hard, but then the strategy that you are actually using is actually wrong, right? So I think that instead of working hard, finding the right direction and finding the right strategy is way more important.
Agree to that. Yeah. So there was once in the internet, I saw this advice, another advice, right? It says this, sounds really smart, you know. Work hard in silence, let success makes the noise. And it's really like a lot of shares, people are like, yeah, work hard in silence and all these things. So here's the thing from the influence perspective, right? You see, if you are in the organizations, or if you're always working hard in silence, always working hard behind the scene, no one knows you, chances are people are not going to notice you as well. So which is why another advice is this, right? Is instead of just hustling harder, it's also really important to build on the influence part as well. You see, you could be working on a project really, really hard, right? But if you don't learn how to present this project, present this idea, present this proposal out, then chances are people who work less hard, but people who are very good in influencing, very good in presenting, pitching, they're going to take the spotlight. Unfortunately, this is the reality of the world.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I always think that you are only as good as you can communicate.
That's right.
Right? Because let's just say if today your technical skills, you are really good at certain things, accounting, marketing, and you are, let's just say, a 10 out of 10. But then if your ability to communicate is only at a 5 out of 10, then probably people will actually look at you at a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right? So for you to get to 10 out of 10, it's about your ability to communicate.
That's right.
Right? So for me, I think it's not just about working hard, and it's also about creating influence, and also I think it's about creating this thing called leverage. Right? So how do you actually create leverage is through influence, where you are able to leverage on different voices for you to actually keep things going and for you to reach your impact to an even higher level.
That's right. Yeah. So leverage, it comes from the word influence. So don't work hard in silence, guys. If you spend a lot of effort, you have done really a good things, right? Really shout it all out as well. Yeah. And also another thing about hustle harder, right, is this. One of my key realization, I think 2025 is that, you know, people are really driven by value. And if you don't know your value, you are just hustling harder, you just work hard, right? It will feel like you are running on a treadmill as a rat. You don't see the way out of it. You're like, why am I doing this? Whenever there's unanswered questions in your mind, right, then every day you will have this inner conflict, you have this fight. So which is why, right, find your values, find your purpose, and let that value and purpose be the reason why you are fighting, be the reason for what you are working hard. And I feel that is much more sustainable than just blindly hustle harder. Yeah.
So I think that to add on to this, one quote that I really love is, effort without direction is just exhaustion.
Wow.
So
good advice.
You can put in a lot of effort, but then if you don't have a direction, basically it means that you're just moving around in circles. And you see, the dangerous part of this advice is that if this advice is being taken without context, it will actually cause people to feel burnout. It will cause people to feel extremely tired as well, right? Because people say 5 a.m. club. And then if, let's just say, if you sleep at 2, 3 a.m. every single day and you still buy into the culture of 5 a.m. club, then probably you wouldn't be as productive as you wanted it to be, right? So over the years, I have actually learned 2 things that is very, very important. Now, I used to believe in the hustle hard culture, which I still believe in right now. Okay, and one philosophy that I always buy into when it comes to working hard, right, is this. When I am young, what I will be doing is that I will push myself to an extreme position. I will work very, very hard, have maybe 3-4 hours of sleep every single day, and I will continue working every single day to push myself to the limit. Because when I push myself to the limit, I know what is my limit. And then what I would do is that I will actually take maybe 30% backward. I will actually take a step backward. But then from there, I know what is my limit. Yeah, so I think that working hard is important when you know where's your limit so that you don't over push yourself. You learn how to actually back off a little bit. And as I grow, not to say older, but wiser, I actually learned how to listen to my body even better. And what this means is that, so I used to wake up at maybe 5 a.m. every single day, irregardless of what time I actually sleep, right? So over the years, I have actually also discovered the importance of sleep as well, because I learned that when you have a good sleep, my mind is so fresh that I could actually focus on a lot of different things. So now, instead of working hard or instead of being so disciplined that I got to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, I learned how to listen to my body. And what this means is that, you see, our body has a natural recovery system that every time whenever we have enough sleep, our body will naturally wake us up. And the reason why a lot of us, we need alarm clock is because we are so deprived of sleep and we need an alarm to actually wake us up.
That's good. Yeah. So I think that's actually, I think it's a relief for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Even though you need a bit longer sleep, it doesn't mean that you're not good, you're not great. So
Hey guys, just a moment. So if you have enjoyed our video so far and you have learned something from the video, you know that we are actually on a mission to inspire more lives and to spread our message to even more people out there. And we can't do this without your help. So we would really appreciate it if you haven't subscribed to our video yet or to our channel. So please click on the subscribe button below and to turn on your notification bell as well, so that every time we post a video, you will get the first-hand update to it. And we would really, really appreciate it. So with that being said, thank you in advance, and back to the video.
after all, I also feel that success, right, this journey of your working on your goal, it's not a short sprint, you know. It's actually a long-term marathon. Running a short sprint is like you give everything that you can until you burn out, until you cannot. Okay, then you are only there for a period of time, then you give up. Normally, people who are winning are people who are running a marathon. They conserve their energy, they know what serves them, and then they make it sustainable so that they are able to achieve the destinations. Right? Really good. Now, let's talk about the next advice. The next advice is this, and I think that I hear this a lot of times, especially when I just graduated, right? Follow your passion. Shui. Follow your passion.
I think that this is a very, very dangerous advice, because what if your passion doesn't make you money for years and you keep on struggling with that? So I think why follow your passion resonate with a lot of people is because it is very emotional, it's very inspiring, and then when people hear it, it sounds very motivational. But then when you really look into the substance of it, right? So passion can't pay the bill. Passion is not able to help you sustain your income. So every time, whenever you want to follow your passion, unless you have all the resources that you need, then I would say, yes, follow your passion to do whatever it takes, right? But then if you are someone who is starting out, if fun is a limit for you, then I would probably say that following your passion is actually not enough. So for me, I think that when it comes to especially starting a business, should I follow my passion? Should I follow where the money is? I think that there are a few things that we actually need to look at. So the first one, of course, when you do something, it is got to be something that you are really passionate about, because I think that passion is something that you need to always have so that the entire work becomes very, very fun. But then besides passion, so another thing that you also want to look at is what are some of the skill set or the strengths that you actually have. Because your skill set and strength is what helps you to create a sustainable business, and is what helps you to add value to other people. So you got to find out what is your skill set, right? And then only the third part of it is where you also need to find out if there is actually a demand for this skill set in the market. Because you can be very passionate about something, you can be very good about something, but then if people don't see value in that, then probably it's not going to work for other people as well. So that's a few things that we are going to look at, but probably you could actually explain further on this concept as well.
I see. So I think that what Shui mentioned is really nice, because passion is just one dimension of it. And here's the thing, right? Passion tends to change. Today, I'm passionate about cooking. Tomorrow, I'm passionate about gardening. Doesn't mean I keep on starting business on gardening and also starting on cooking. So which is why this advice is kind of incomplete. And I really would like what Sri mentioned, right, is that framework that I really love, right, that explains it really in a nice way, is this concept called Ikigai. So in this Ikigai, right, you guys can actually check out the diagram itself. So in the diagram, right, there's actually 4 questions to answer, which also echo what Sri actually mentioned. The first question, right, is this: what do you love doing? So I think this is the passion. What are you passionate? What do you love doing? What do you enjoy doing for hours and still don't feel draining yourself? Okay, but this is just one dimension of it. The second question, right, is this: what does the world needs? Meaning that what is the problem that you're solving? Because if let's say there's something that you're really passionate at and then it's not solving any problem, then chances are there's no chance for you to market it as well. There's no demand for that, right? So what is the things that in the world, what is the problem that you see that you're angry that is not more is being done about it? So that's for the second question. The third question, which is the most important part, because without this, your passion won't be sustainable. It is what you can be paid for. And this is very important. Yeah, meaning that what does the market need? Would people really pay for this or not? Yeah, and then the fourth thing is that what you are good at, and this is really, really important. You could be passionate in something, but you could be suck at it. Yeah. And I think that this is really important because, right, why do people be passionate on that something? You see some of the top speakers, some of the top influencers, why are they so passionate? And they tell you that follow your passion. The first place that they did not tell you is because when they start being good at something, then only they start to be passionate on that something. Yeah, because imagine if you are, for example, let's say swimming. Every time when you swim, you tend to drown yourself. You just can't learn it, right? You won't be passionate about it. You are passionate about it because you spend years to be so good at it. Then you love it because it makes you feel good when you're doing it.
I really love that, right? Because for me, if you keep on working on something that you're passionate at, and if you don't get paid for it well, which I think is a very crucial element for it, then how long can you actually last, right? Because if you continue to go on like this, right, and then when stress takes over, passion would eventually decrease and fades away, like in the longer run, right? So I always believe that like what Wicked said, is the 4 quadrants that actually makes a big difference. And when I first discovered about my own passion, it is also the same thing, right? But of course, like everything starts from passion, right? So don't get me wrong. I think that everything starts from your passion, but you cannot just follow after your passion. So when I start speaking in university, right? So I discovered that my passion is actually in speaking, right? Because I know that I love speaking and I love like talking to people, seeing how I make an impact. So I love this area and I know that it's my passion. And then moving into the second quadrant, which is what you said just now, what the world actually needs. And coming to think about it, I think that the problem that I'm actually solving is to solve the confidence issue in people that which a lot of people are actually facing right now. So I always tell people that I am not in a speaking industry. I am in an industry to solve other people's confidence issue, to give people confidence. So I'm an industry where I help people to build confidence, which is an absolute pain point for a lot of people out there. So I think that a better question that you need to ask yourself after you discovered about your passion is that, what can I do to help more people out there? And is this skill set is in demand or not, right? So that would be the second thing that I would actually look into, okay? And the third thing is about, will I get paid for this skill set, right? Because sometimes I may be very passionate about solving this, but then if the market don't see this as a problem, then probably the demand isn't there. And then when demand isn't there, then probably you wouldn't get paid. But then if you look at the industry of speaking, where I help people to rebuild confidence, there are people who are willing to pay for them to actually grow to become better speakers, because this is an actual pain point that people want to get rid of. So the pain part is actually being solved, right? And then finally, when I look back at my strength, do I have the skill set and the strength for me to actually sustain this passion, for me to make a living out from it? So yes, I do. And of course, skill set is something that can be developed over time, right? But then I will always say that go towards something that you are naturally good at, so that it's way easier to develop your strength over in the long run.
Beautiful. You just gave a perfect example about this. Yeah. I also want to ask for your opinion as well, right? So during some coaching sessions, I heard that some people actually mentioned that, I'm passionate onto this something, but the moment when I start to make it a profession, I'm no longer passionate about it. It's like when I'm doing it as a hobby, it's so fun. But the moment when people start paying me for this, when I make it professional, then they stop enjoying this. So why do you think that happens to people?
I think because whatever you are passionate on, if you add on a sense of responsibility towards that, then eventually it takes the entire fun away. Because that is where you will have the obligation to perform, because you know that this is something that people actually paid for, and that's where all the stress actually comes in. Yeah, so then you need to ask yourself very clearly is, do you want to just do it as your passion and you don't want to have any stress, or do you want to be paid for it? Because if you want to be paid for it, then you also need to consider the responsibility and also the cost that comes alongside with that passion that you are building on as well.
I think this is so important that when people give you the advice, just follow your passion, they didn't actually tell you about all these things. Okay? Good. So we have covered number 4.
Yes.
Okay? Last but not least, you just need motivations. So Sri, what do you think about this?
I think that motivation is temporary. Because when was the last time you feel extremely motivated? And if I were to ask you, how long did that motivation last? Probably some of you guys will say maybe a week, right? Some of you guys will say maybe a month, but then most people, they don't go way beyond a month. So I think that motivation is basically an external factor that actually pushes you for the short run, but not in the longer run. So when people give the advice, you just need more motivation or you just need to have more discipline. The problem is that I wish that I could have been more disciplined, but then the problem is that I just don't know how, right? So motivation, right, is a very, very big word. But then what is behind motivation is basically your purpose, your why. Why are you doing this at the very first place? And if you think about it, right, motivation, why people don't feel motivated is because they actually procrastinate. And why people procrastinate, if you dive deeper into it, is because number one, they don't see a real reason why they should be doing it. Or number two, is that there is an underlying fear that stops them from taking action. So if you dive down into the root cause of the problem, motivation is just basically the surface problem itself. But what is the root cause underlying that problem is basically the fear that you have, or there is certain misalignment that you actually have, which causes you not to feel motivated.
Yeah, I really like that, right? Because back in those days, there were actually certain period of time where motivation really works. For example, motivation can come in terms of reward, money, or even recognitions. It really depends. So one of the things, right, we can actually look into this thing called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I think this actually really sums up really, really nicely, right? So you see, this Maslow hierarchy of needs, right, actually states that how people actually rank their importance based on this actually pyramid. So the first step is actually definitely physiological needs. And then after that, when you have physiological needs, you want safety. Then after that, you want love and belonging. Then you want esteem. Then you want self-actualizations. So you see, right, if we were just depending on motivation, right, it's just like, I want to work hard for money. I want to work hard to buy this car, to buy this house, right? This may work for a shorter time, but if you look into the culture scape right now, right, we are in this world right now where a lot of people are actually at the highest hierarchy of the pyramid, which is the self-actualizations. Yeah. So even if you're a leader, if you're leading a team of people, right, you know, if you just motivate by money, it's no longer enough, because all these people, they start to talk about values, they talk about purpose. Right? If something that fits their values and purpose, they are even willing to do it even with lesser amount of money. Right? So which is why, right, this is the era where we also need to learn how to look inward as well. So for example, like values, what drives you? What is the most important thing for you? And also, what is your purpose? Why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? So all this, right, actually keeps you moving when your motivation dies down. It's like the why. Yeah. So for example, you know, when I'm running a business, especially in the coaching industries, yes, motivation is good. It's like when I actually grow the business, I can actually get rewarded as well, right? But one thing I also realize is this, right? There are times when I'm actually not that motivated. Definitely there are down times. We are all human beings, right? Yeah. But when I remember my why, when I remember, hey, the transformation that I'm actually creating, when I remember, oh, wow, this student actually became a person that, you know, really transformed, then it gives me the motivation to go further. Yeah, so it's like an intrinsic motivations from me.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I think intrinsic motivation is very important. And then I think what sustains the entire motivation is also the context that you are being put in, which also means the environment that you are in, the people that you mix with. I think that this is actually very, very important because you can have all the motivation that you want, but then if you are always surrounded with people that drains your energy, then no matter how motivated you are or how positive you are, chances are you are going to drag down by all these different energy level that doesn't sustain you, right? Yeah, so I think that instead of giving advice that says, oh, you just need more motivation, then probably I would say that, oh, you just need to mix with people who are more motivated.
Oh.
And that is basically your environment.
I agree that environment is really, really important. Imagine you are mixed with a group of people who wants to be successful more than you. Eventually, you are being lifted up as well. Okay, good. Right, so I think that this is fun. We just covered the 5 advice that sounds smart but doesn't really work. So as we are coming to the end, right, so I just want to ask you, Shui, how do you filter advices? Do you take any advices that come to you as it is? What do you do with it?
I think that there are a few things that I actually look at. So number one is that the person who is providing advice is very, very important. So I will always ask myself, for this person that is providing this advice, is he doing the things that he said he's going to do? Or is he at the level where he said he's going to be, right? So that is actually the first thing. And then number 2 is that I will also ask myself that the person that gave advice, does he know the entire context of my problem or even where my business is? Because most of the time they are giving advice based on the experiences that they have in the past, which may not be relevant to what I'm actually going through. Yeah, so I will actually ask myself, would this person know the entire context? And then only when these 2 things are being fulfilled, then I will probably take it as advice, and then I'll do the final filter by asking myself, how can I actually apply this in my own context and how relevant is this for me?
Wow, really nice.
And for you yourself?
For me, right, I think that seeking for advice itself, this gesture, it could be a 2-way sword as well, right? Because, right, imagine you saw a successful people. Then you ask me, what's that one advice you can actually give for me? Then that person will, based on his beliefs, and to give you one advice that he thinks is the best.
Yeah.
But then that advice might not be actually fits into your context as well. Yeah. So that is why, right, I realized that what really makes me grow is that instead of for asking advices, I actually seek for coaches. So you see, coaches, right, for example, or trusted advisor, people who are there, they don't just give you advice like what Shui mentioned. It's like they will ask more context based on this, like what is the thing that is suitable for you right now. And I think that the problem with the internet right now is that people go for something that sounds smart, rather than what is more applicable. Yeah, and I think that in this era where we are bombarded with so much information, it's really important for us to learn how to differentiate what is working, what is not working.
Yeah,
it's
and in fact, don't take our advice for granted as well. Learn how to filter this one round so that you know what is applicable, because we are both speaking from our own experience as well.
Yes, yeah. So one last thing is that I would like to use this as an analogy for the movie. Okay, so you see, right, if let's say there's a new launch blockbuster movie, and then you ask this one person, how's the movie? And then this person comes and says, it's about this, about that, nothing interesting. Does it mean that you don't have to watch the movie? Right? It depends. Maybe it's not nice for this person, but maybe it's something that is, you should still check out. Just because someone spilled the beans doesn't mean that you don't need to experience it. Same goes to life as well. Just because someone give you a really powerful advice, it doesn't mean that you can actually stop, experimenting, stop living your life. You still have to learn yourself. You still have to experience things yourself as well, right? So which is why, last but not least, bad advice isn't bad because it's wrong. It's bad because it's incomplete, right? So good advice usually feels boring. And, bad advice, sometimes the danger is it can feel exciting. So be very careful. I hope that you actually learned something from today's sessions. We actually had fun doing this. So if you think that this is something that has benefited you and you want to share it to more friends, right? We really appreciate it. You can actually share it to more friends, because this year itself, we want to put in more effort to actually build more quality podcasts to bring more guests. And in order to make this sustainable for us, right, it will really mean a lot if you can help to just share this episode out, like, subscribe, and to stay tuned to our upcoming episode. And this gives us the motivations to keep going forward.
And by the way, comment down in the comments as well, what are some of the other bad advices that you have heard so that like we know what else to cover for you in the future as well.
That's right. Okay. And with that, we look forward to see you in the next episode. Looking forward.
Thank you so much. See you guys.
See ya. Bye-bye.